You may have heard of the so-called UV sensitive beads or UV beads that are essentially colorless when they are in the dark, but when they're exposed to sunlight or ultraviolet light from the sun, they turn in various colors. You can see that happening here in this bag, and here I have this sign that and when exposed to ultraviolet light, all these beads turn to various colors, and when those beads are brought back into the dark, away from the sunshine, they turn back to colorless. So what counts for this photochromic behavior in these beads? Well, what we have here is a class of molecules, dye molecules called spiropyrans, and here's a model of the core part of the spiropyrans. The black represents carbon, the yellow represents hydrogen, blue represents nitrogen, the white represents oxygen, and the green and purple are other groups that are attached. We just wanted to represent those just as these groups so that we can focus our attention on the core part. And so in the colorless form, this ring is intact in the spiropyran when the dye molecule absorbs photons of light, typically in the UVA or the UVB range from about 300 to 360 nanometers. This bond breaks and the molecule twists, breaks apart like that, and it changes the light absorbing characteristics of the dye molecule, and the bead changes from colorless to colorful. And you can see that even just putting these beads out in the shade on this sunny day, there's enough ultraviolet light that we can get the beads to change color. Recently we found some other color changing items. There are some glues that contain the color changing dyes. Their color when they are in the dark, they're yellow and blue, but in brighter light they turn to red and purple. We had a little bit of fun with that. We wrote out the letters BU in that. Okay, and they are changing a little bit in this shady area here. By the way, we've also seen photochromic or UV sensitive nail polish. I've seen plastic hairbands that contain this, but let's put them out in bright sunlight and see if we can push that color change a little bit further. Because often when we have brighter sunlight, we have a higher flux of ultraviolet light. I think you can see the color changing taking place a little bit more dramatically. Again, the glue with the pigments are changing, and you can see the beads are also changing more dramatically. And again, if I put this back in a dark room, what would happen is all these molecules would flip back around, their rings would reform, and these pigments would change back to their original colors.